Hey guys, welcome back to the basement for day 4 of Archaia week. Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the hardcover collection of Days Missing. Now, this was made in conjunction with the folks at Roddenberry, and while this wasn't adapted from a Roddenberry idea, this wasn't from a script that Gene had written, anything like that, this is made in that same mold of the types of sci-fi that Roddenberry liked to create. He liked to take humanity and look for the goodness, the uplifting part of humanity, and then, you know, build a universe around it, build a storyline around it. And Days Missing fits into that mold very well. This was originally published in individual issues, and I remember buying these chapters as they came out, and I was really hooked by the storyline and the character. Your main character here is the Steward, and the Steward basically has the ability to, what they say, fold time on itself. He's not a time traveler per se, but he can go in during a 24-hour period and basically collapse it on itself so that everyone forgets about what happened and it undoes any of the problems that may have emerged in that time period. So, for instance, we get stories like Frankenstein. A Frankenstein monster is created, and it deals with some of these issues, not just, well, there's a big monster, we have to kill it, but what is this thing? Does it count as something living? Does it have a soul? How do you deal with something like that? And some of the issues will deal with those type issues, whereas some of the other parts of the book, some of the other chapters will deal with just simple things like the particle accelerator is going to explode and obliterate humanity. You know, you've got that wide range of stories. And luckily, they got some really good writers to work on this. They got some of the writers like Phil Hester or Ian Edgington, guys who really write good stories about humanity. That idea that, yes, it's sci-fi, but it's not about robots and UFOs and, you know, stuff like that. Sci-fi just means it kind of deals with that scientifically explainable fantastic, or pseudo-scientifically explainable fantastic, if you will. But there were also, you know, great artists working on this. Guys like Chris Burnham and Fraser Irving. They did some really great artwork in here. There's some really nice stuff. And one thing I have to say, you know, Archaia, they're not just going to take a bunch of back issues, slap them together in a hardcover, put a cover gallery in the back, and call it a day. They have interviews with the writers, asking them how they came up with their stories. There's artwork. You can see how stuff was laid out, thumbnailed, the character was designed, all of that kind of stuff. Also, you get the cover galleries with all the variants, so it's nice to see some of the other stuff, the retailer exclusives and the expensive. When the book came out, there was the $2.99 standard and the $3.99 deluxe version with an alternate cover. So all of that is collected here, and this makes for really like the definitive collection. You know, when you think about a series being collected, this is the definitive collection of the series. And I have to say that even though there was a wealth of writers, a wealth of artists who helped work on a book like this, there's really not a breakdown of the character between these different stories. It really feels like you're listening to the same character narrate every story. Unlike sometimes when they mix up writers and one writer will treat the character one way, another writer will treat the character another way. This feels much more like if you think of a TV series as you go from episode to episode. They may have completely different writers, but it all still feels valid. And they did a really good job of keeping all of those guys on the same page as far as the storyline goes. One other thing about this book is that they've just announced a Volume 2 that's going to be coming this fall. This book ends with not really a cliffhanger so much, but if you want to think, again, going with that idea of a TV series, the final issue works really well as a season finale. It wraps up everything that's happened in the 5 chapters collected here, but at the same time, there's this interesting little twist that happens on the very last page, and it very well could end with this storyline, but it also sets it up beautifully for a Volume 2, and luckily, Volume 2 is coming. So, to get ready for Volume 2, I highly recommend you guys hunt down copies of Days Missing. This was a great story, and I had a lot of fun with it. Now, if you've been frequenting our message boards, you knew about Archaia Week in advance. And you knew about it because this came out of our discussion about the Fraggle Rock series. So come back tomorrow. We're going to talk about the new Fraggle Rock series coming from Archaia. I know it's kind of a big deal to a lot of you guys. Guys like me who are giant geeks, grew up in the 80s and just can't let it go. And so seeing this Jim Henson property come back has been very exciting. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But don't forget to check out the rest of the Pop Culture Network. Of course, we have our comic stuff at I Need Comics, but you can also get sports stuff at LockerRoomHQ.com. You can also check out all the neat toy news at ThatNewToySmell.com. And of course, stop by PopCultureNetwork.com to get all of the above, plus, TV, movies, music, all that other great stuff that we happen to run across. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.
You dirty, rotten red bastard!